nga chansi chuli la chindoguyo, chansi chuli la tiri ya lota bukuso gaji chiyo re sa, tanda nga so boba sanima ki lota ndo ni chiyo ra, tuzo la ta pagini chansi chuli la chi yosa re, nancho ngoto suna re, kare na chi yosa re ho chi tu choni ni somba mato re sha te, nga dwa la chi ndoko sa so te so, nge che che na ni nyentu tenda sobina ni yange gonda lugi ina pagi karre shange tagi chigi te samala nge gi nyentu sisina ge samala tashi del pe mambu yotas teri namshi pe chibu re shas ra tenda cheni te nga teri peche te cawan du nga chalan du sa zu kyan jolan du chi mambu chi yo o ya te chen ta nga chanse chuli le tondo nga tene ngarazo sitena lente fengile le mappa tene komba jana tanda ngarazo chansi chuli rasa tid barare te cheni te nga tanda tel doguyo pagi chansi chuli la chinjo kuzo mitsu tandina boyo jir tanda cheni doguyo tanda cheni te karsana o triki kasenge nyintu nabu so tubi na ngi lu shagi te matubi na ni ata matuba sena ta yo karre shangi pagi la tagi chi ai pagi ne karsana chi yorwa karaso jansi chule gi tachi tradisina re karse chi so nyintu lu ya rendu re mundu ye ta go kasi nyintu sona digre sona ni tengen do hai do ge es te chene do ge es ne ta tanda sona sa ja pe chi bundu ji da nyintu so lu ya rana ki mundu marana ki mundu ina ta pe sa cha do so han sa ya gi chi bu cha sha ta pe ya kha ngone Calgary la ya kha dos on da bu chi da shin da bu chi ngone Raila levana shire tange chola tuchego tange kasuna ye ta tanda do saje chibu doa nanrubi ndogo saje chi no kamu kada do te meto tanga do zote chetangi loja simu sesa che te meto do sobe abundu 대전 데라 당가스는 제사 에 아부 때문에 다 단다 뜻들라 오늘 칼그리 나로라 오늘 지슈나 부치제 공칸이 앞에 나시 참무슈요레 칸슈자그레 단다레 단다 델 메토드 좋다다 메토 부세디 디레 단다 다테 메토드야 메시부레라 온도아 Koni te kambu so de nasin me shibuji la hundu me tot to wala kana tala me bu shibu yo je ta inji de zogi gabu chi mare karsana te le na pang krazo ge pang thola tangre rane shira gabu chi mare hina nga zo ya ka ina ya chi ta du damba ne an ji mun da buta chi sebu na bu chi te tongdu te cheni te karsana sansa me to di lanjona te phayu testes chi tengi tanga banda buchena phayu menyala ina ya be thora sa chi bu shu yo re ngone tha azo menyala banda buchena shiman ro re shinga yenjon roba yenjo ching ya menyano la chama ma re 그래서 nganda buchena ya shiman ro nija yenjo tanda re te chen 야야라 세테 야 타르미도 지마무나 비창도 땡이 땡기 제고 ngaya tanda te pugudu tsubagi tsemu tsaya tanda mambu tsaya shiwa tanda nga tena pasi chi re ta kamachi zindrogo na dundrogo nga re ya tela sengi tongi tibi chego o tanga chansi chulila le so tanda pugudu tso le mundu nga chansi chulila le tsaso tanda ngara chibu re sha tanda pugudu tso chuzi choni ni pagi tongi inji re 오 단단하라 지부레샤 들이 가라서 부소라 되는 부치 지금도 알레 테레샤 들이 가라기 되는 소리 사람이 통과 대전대 게실라 슈사치 소테체 대전대 추샤테 가르스나 대추샤 소년도 게시페마리 칠라다 많이 기소르네마 게시페마리 칠라 나 보이지바 치유래 아니기 소래 대추샷 쯔다니데 양아 저로 발레가 지세년도로 바치라 양에로 바치네 나조든다 진주 단조래 야야데 추샷데 야부친자로 지행이기 유주 패밀리 사마 남이 사마테 다도스네 데리 그라츠 페치 되게 있어래 데리 데렌도 मैंने खराब सो देखे सर रहा ते खराब सो देखे रे शाह तातेला चुंदें देखी कुछ इंदुआ तातेला खराब सो या करने तो बुच्ची की चिया इन्हें ते चिया रे शाह ते शूटर दगारा रे ते किसी पे मलने चांस सो रे ते चेंते ते जस्ट चिंजार बुच्ची ची tanda te khara gamba khara ki lama neder bucheche te kote
So anyway, thank you for coming, and we're going to do that every year. Okay, so you have settled down to look forward to and spending time in Shakyamuni. So Geshe-la has, I want to say a little bit about Geshe-la so that you all know. He was born in Tibet and joined the monastery when he was age 10, and when he reached 19 years old, he wanted to come to India to study in Indian Tibetan universities. We have 3 great universities, and also he wants to be where His Holiness is. So he walked, he had to, of course, he had to escape from Tibet, and he walked for 28 days from Tibet to India just to study. So you can see how important it is for Geshe-la. And then he studied for 28 years, 24 years in India, and he completed Geshe-Dharma degree. Geshe-Dharma degree is the highest degree, which is equivalent to PhD, but the study itself is more intense and it is more in-depth. So to finish PhD, it doesn't take as long as 24 years. But for the Tibetan monks, when you hear about Geshe, and when you hear Geshe, that have completed their PhD degree. And when you hear about Haramba, that is the highest. So Geshe-la came, there are a number of monks that come, first. And he was in the first rank, Geshe Haramba. And after that, he went to study at Yume, which is also another tantric college, and where you learn all the rituals and special, there's another special set of studies that we say is a Mantrayana study. And then he completed, and he also he was among the first to rank in that university. So there's 3 universities, Sera, Jehun, and Ganden, and Geshe-la went to study at the Sera. So he came to Calgary because invited by Nandan Juguru Mission. Many of you have met Nandan Mission, right? He came to visit the school a few times, and so we are like really lucky. There are a lot of teachers, but not many of them would have qualification as high as Geshe-la. So you can get the highest qualified teacher only, if everybody would like to have the highest qualified teacher, and we have that, so we are all very lucky to have him here, Geshe-la. So I'm going to ask Geshe-la to give a talk, okay? No. So Geshe-la wishes everyone Teshidle means peace and harmonious prosperity. So today is this month is called Sakadawa, and the Sakadawa is a very special month. So it says during the month of Sakadawa, whatever practice you do, every good things you do, it becomes very powerful. So today we have in our this program, we have made a special bathing the Buddha, offering bath to the Buddha. So in the when they do the special ritual for bathing the Buddha, in the verses it said, Buddha does not have any stains. He's pure. He does not have any stains. So then it says, however, sentient beings, that all of us, we sentient beings, we have a lot of impurities in us, and therefore, in order to purify the impurities or stains of ourselves, then we are offering bath to the Buddha. So when we're going to pour the water 3 times on the Buddha, and the first one represents purifying the impurities of the body, that our body, all the afflictions, that impurities that we have on our body, and at the same time think of all the sentient beings that you are removing their suffering, that comes through the body, sickness and all of that you are purifying. And then it says Buddha's speech has no impurities. Everything that he says would be pure, honest, and truth, and only to bring happiness for others. However, our speech is full of impurities. That dirty speech has a lot of dirt, impurities, and we often say mean things, and we tell lies, we cause problem among people, friends, and all of that. So the reason why we are bathing Buddha the second time is to purify our own negativities of the speech. And then Buddha's mind has no impurities, or there is nothing that is wrong with Buddha's mind. So this is a collective karma of all Tibetans, that we lost a country, and we did not just leave it without on our own, and that was the result of the condition that we are in. If we have never lost our land to other people, and this would be time we would have no problem communicating with each other. There's one great teacher in India. His name is Santo Rinpoche. Some of you may have heard. He said that he's a great scholar. He said, wherever I go outside in other countries, I would not be ashamed if I'm not able, if my English is not good enough, I would not be ashamed. But if my Tibetan is not good enough, then I would be ashamed. And the Buddha said that I am my own master, I am my own enemy. So whatever happens to me, it's all in my hand. So the reason why he said was that what he's saying is that you are the one who can make yourself good, and you are the one who can make yourself bad. So you can be your enemy, or you can be your best teacher.
소소가 남시도 담보 약보 랑가 약보는 누군지도 못 있다는 소소를 안기다다 딱짝이 제기다가 소소 잘돼요. 야주 제기 야주도 소소 잘돼요.
So whether you are on the right path or not on the right path, you have to be the one to check and see where you are going. So it's like you are your own someone that would make sure that you're on the right path.
나디 저기 다가는 레와드도 소지하게 되니까 소지하인다. 이 레와드 말도 계제 파선이 나라도 상이다. 나라도 상나라도 계제 파선 그 내바디 계청부 제미야 소도 나라 가리나 돼.
So Geshe-la has 3 popes for you, and this Geshe-la popes for both children and the parents. So this is not only for the children, but for all the others, all the elders too. So that we can So first is that that our country is in the hand of strangers, others, that never forget that we have a country, and that is in the hand of other strangers. And then second, never forget you are Tibetan. Then have the full confidence, as long as you work hard, you can do anything that you set out to do, and never have a sort of doubts about your own potential. So don't ever forget this. Geshe-la said that that's all he is going to say, and don't ever forget the 3 advice from Geshe-la.
In May to commemorate the birth, death, and enlightenment of Buddha Shakyamuni. Over the course of the next 20 minutes, we will travel back over 2,550 years to the southern foothills of the Himalayan mountains. There, in northern India, lived the Shakya people. They had great love and respect for their ruler, King Shuddhodana. He was admired by everyone, nobles, householders, merchants, and the poor. When it was time for Shuddhodana to marry, he chose the most beautiful, devoted, and trustworthy princess of the neighboring Koliya tribe. She was called Mahamaya, the great Maya, for her resemblance to Maya, the goddess. Her name means vision. She was endowed with the highest gifts of intelligence and virtue. For 20 years, King Maya and King Shuddhodana had no children. Then one full moon night, the queen had a vivid dream. Your Highness, last night I dreamt I was being carried away by 4 divas to Lake Anotata. After bathing me in the lake, the spirits clothed me in the most heavenly cloth, anointed me with perfumes, and adorned me with divine flowers. Then a white elephant holding a white lotus flower in its trunk appeared and went around me 3 times and entered my womb on my right side. Wise men were called to interpret the dream.
Your Majesty, you are very lucky. The Devas have chosen our queen as the mother of the purest one, and the child will become a very great being.
In accordance with the custom, when it was close to the time for the queen to give birth, the king arranged for the royal retinue to accompany her to her father's home. On the way, the procession stopped in the beautiful gardens of Lumbini Park, where the queen rested under the most fragrant asoka tree. Then she gave birth to her child without any pain. Instantly, the prince walked 7 steps and announced, "This is my last birth. I am the chief in the world." As he walked, a lotus sprang forth from each footprint. His limbs shone with the radiance of precious gold, and he lit up the entire space. It was the full moon in the year 623 BC. On the 5th day of his son's life, the king invited 5 wise men, Brahmins, to witness the naming ceremony and suggest a good name for the prince. They examined the birthmarks of the prince and said,
"The prince will either be a universal monarch if he chooses to rule, or if he chooses a religious life, he will become supreme enlightenment one."
This child will win true enlightenment. He will break down the door which imprisons living beings and free the world of its bonds of craving, ignorance, and delusion.
We give this child the name Siddhartha, which means wish fulfilled, or one who has accomplished his goal.
O king, we give you this warning. When your son sees an old man, a sick man, a dead body, and a monk, he will want to leave the palace and become a monk himself.
Asita, a hermit and ascetic of high spiritual attainment, came down from the Himalayas to meet the newborn prince.
The young child has all the signs that are pledges to an enlightened being. I am happy that this wondrous prince will eventually become a Buddha, but I am sad because I won't be able to be alive to hear his teaching.
7 days after the birth of the young prince, his mother, Queen Maya, died. Her younger sister, Prajapati, became the child's foster mother and cared for him as her own dearly beloved son. One day, when he was 12 years old, Siddhartha was walking in the woods with his cousin Devadatta. Suddenly, Devadatta saw a swan flying and shot at it with its arrow. Both the boys ran to get the bird. Siddhartha reached the swan first. It was still alive. Siddhartha gently pulled the arrow from the wing and got a little juice from the cool leaves. He put it on the wound to stop the bleeding, and with his soft hand stroked the swan.
Give me my bird. I shot it down.
No, I'm not going to give it to you.
Siddhartha, by right it is mine. Give it to me.
Let's go to the court of the sage and ask him who really owns the swan.
The sage heard both boys' version of the story and made his decision. A life certainly must belong to he who tries to save it. A life cannot belong to one who is only trying to destroy it. The king, after hearing the story of the swan and seeing the great compassion of his son, remembered the prophecy of the wise men. He tried every possible way to distract the prince with the comforts of royal life and kept him shielded from the outside world. He instructed the servants, "Please Be mindful to not allow the sick, old, and monks into the palace. No one is to speak of death, grief, sickness, and old age within the walls of the palace. The king then built the prince a palace for each season with their own enclosed parks, complete with musicians and dancing girls. But Siddhartha was not happy. Again, the king consulted the sages, who advised,
It's time for the young prince to marry. Invite all the maidens far from and wide. Just as you chose to marry Princess Maya, Prince Siddhartha will choose the most suitable maiden.
Hundreds of maidens came, but the prince was immediately attracted to the beautiful and gentle Princess Yasodhara. They married, and for the next 13 years, the prince enjoyed all the luxuries life had to offer. But his dissatisfaction with his protected world was growing. Siddhartha spoke to the king.
Father, you have given me everything, and for that I am most grateful. I am very blessed to be with Princess Yasodhara, but I must go out the palace gate and see how other people live.
The king immediately ordered everybody in the city, prepare for my son's visit. I request that all of you to please clean the streets and make your homes beautiful for my son. Welcome him with laughter and gaiety. Fill the streets with youthfulness and joy. Shortly, the city and all the people were ready for the arrival of the prince. The streets were lined with hundreds of young. His eyes were rolling and he was gasping for breath. At once, the prince knelt down and rested the man's head on his knee. What's wrong? What's wrong? Ah! The prince asked, Channa, why is this man like this? What is the matter with his breath? Why does he not talk? Channa replied, Oh, my prince, please do not touch that man like that. He is very sick. His blood is poisoned. He has plague fever and it is burning his body. That is why he is crying loudly and not able to speak. But are there any other men like this? Yes, and you may be the next if you continue to hold the man as close as that. Please put him down and do not touch him, or the plague will come out of him and go into you. Are there other bad things beside this plague, Channa? Yes, my prince. There are hundreds of other sicknesses as painful as this. Some even more, some less. Can no one help? No one can stop it. Will everyone be sick? Can it happen at any time by surprise? Yes, my dear prince. Everyone in this world, rich or poor, anyone may fall ill and suffer, and it can happen at any time and any place. The prince returned to the palace, even sadder than before. The king, seeing his son so depressed and lost in thought, also became very sad. After a few days, Siddhartha again asked for the king's permission to leave the palace. Dead. Dead? Channa, does everyone die? Yes, my dear prince. All living things must die someday. They get sick, they lose their voice, they start crying. Everyone must die. The prince was so shocked. He thought that it was terrible that death should come to everybody, even kings and queens, and there was no way to stop it. He went home in silence and sat deep in thought for the rest of the day. No one is free from suffering. But there must be a way, and I must find that way in order to help.
Firm intention of conquering my realm. While there is time, we will attempt to break his solemn purpose.
Mara attacked the defenseless ascetic and his army of demons. But Siddhartha was protected from the forces of evil by all the good acts he had performed in this life and former lives. The Supreme One was not to move. To signal his triumph over Mara,
Work is now complete. Is it not time for you to enter the final nirvana?
upon hearing these words, the Most Blessed One replied, "Do not be impatient. Wait a while, for in 3 months' time I shall enter the final nirvana." 3 months later.
Can you tell me the 3 things with his life? What happened? He was born, yes, and then attained enlightenment, and third one passed away. Yeah. So on this, this today is the full moon of a 4th month. You know, on this day, 2,500 years ago, Buddha was born, attained enlightenment, and passed away. And all the teaching that we have to be very grateful for what he has brought to us, the teaching that, you know, he's the one who gave us His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the great teachers. So you should always think about that on this day, okay? And Geshe-la said 3 things to remember. Huh? What are those 3 things? Okay, next, then we're going to do the bathing of the Buddha. Do you remember what Geshe-la said? What are you going to purify?
Body, speech, and mind.
Good, yeah. So body, speech, and mind. So first you think about body and say all the impurity of the body, of all sentient beings be purified. As you do that, you know. And the second. So Geshe-la will do it. Just watch Geshe-la. You can stand up now. You know? And if you want to make prostration, then Geshe-la wants you to line up. Line up. Get the little ones first. Body, speech, and mind.
Wow! Nikki, whose child is that? Whose child did you kill?
Kimber.
Calgary, Louis. That may all my time. Yeah.
공부 쓰쇼. 준비도 스불라 누워. 이걸로 지금 하면 스불라 누워. 야. 너무 멋있다.
的春夏秋冬都那么深刻浪漫。就没昨晚有没路，就得打从起头。狗娃的当有次就当这碗连碗的家样没路。人当的加米多，就等昨晚都一诺。但那种变成感觉有次念就念里诺。